Everyone, this is Nikachu, Merfolk Master, and today we're going to go over a very interesting topic. We're going to address all the really whiny control players out there. Oh yes, they're tier 1, but they still have things to complain about. That their counter spells don't do anything because Cavern of Souls is so OP and it should be banned. Or aggro has so many tools, how on earth do we beat them? Well, I wonder how, if only Wizards of the Coast printed some cards for control to help them. Maybe they would have some presence in the metagame. And this was all spurred by a question on my morning show asking, Nikachu, would it be okay to reprint Portent in Modern Horizons 2? Portent. And by the way, if you don't know what Portent is, it's basically Ponder, except that the draw is delayed, which you would think should be a downside. However, control decks could use this because they could use miracle cards in combination. So for example, you look at the top 3 cards of your library, you stack Terminus on top, you pass the turn. Then you draw the card, which is going to be the first one for the turn. Boom, Terminus, your entire board away. And my counter question is, do control players need help? Do control players need help? Seriously. They're clearly tier 1 in the metagame right now in Modern. They have got multiple different variations between Simic, Bent, Sultai, Teamer, still also Blue-White. Many different variations and ways to tune the deck. Do they need help? That's ridiculous. Like, why on earth would control players still complain that they need cards for their archetype? That's like Splinter Twin at the top of their career, saying, do you know what? You know, we're clearly like 5 percentage points above everyone else, but we could use some more help against Affinity. You know, we could use something against Thoughtseize decks. Like, oh, please, you get the hell out of here. So what I'm going to go over is everything that Control has gotten over the last 3 years, which is 1,000,000 cards. Oh my god, if you look at what Control was like 4 years ago, comparing it today, it's not even the same deck. It's nothing. It's like they share nothing except maybe Cryptic Command and Snapcaster Mage. Alright, let's start it all off with Ancestral Vision getting unbanned. This card for 0 mana can draw 3 cards, and we don't even see it in control decks anymore because it's basically obsolete based on all the other cards that they've put into Modern. Next, Jace the Mind Sculptor got unbanned. Does still see play today, but is not exactly the OP Planeswalker that you would think it should be because it was immediately like pushed aside for Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, which is, by the way, way better than Jace the Mind Sculptor if you're in the Azorius colors, because it's basically a 3-mana Planeswalker. You spend 5 mana on it, but you're going to get the rebate back, and then every single other turn, you're drawing cards, you get more mana because you can spend it on your turn. It's ridiculous. Also, the other modes are amazing. You basically get rid of the permanents, tucking them away, and the ultimate gets people to concede faster than the ultimate on Jace the Mind Sculptor, because if you don't have anything play and your opponent is drawing cards every turn, you obviously know it's time to pack it up. Not only that, they got upped. Even their mediocre cards got upgrades. So instead of tapping out on your turn with Serum Vision, they can now play everything at instant speed, tying up none of their mana. Opt is a great upgrade. Dovin's Veto. You know what? Forget the counter spells. You're gonna win every counter war because you've got Dovin's Veto in your deck. And then War of the Spark came out, and then gave them so many cards. Oh my god, Teferi Time Raveler. Now this is a card, obviously, that is in the contention of getting banned. So many people hate this card. Basically shuts down any instant speed interaction, turning the game into Hearthstone. Bounces any permanent, draws a card, comes out early. It's ridiculous. Teferi Time Raveler. Narset Parter of Veils. Okay, so now you don't get to draw any more than 1 card per turn, replaces herself, digging for more interaction. Narset Parter of Veils, amazing contribution addition to the control decks. Ashiok Dreamrender, all right? Yeah, exile your graveyard over and over and over again. Also, you can't search your library, sorry about that. They get to play all those one-sided Planeswalkers. Unbelievable, just all of them. Arkham's Astrolabe got printed in Modern Horizons. That's a card that's been banned. If you look at this list, it's going to be full of cards that were once banned, are in contention of getting banned, or are banned. That's where Control has been for the last few years. And yeah, Arkham's Astrolabe, that's what they played, and that just recently got banned. They were playing with Renin 6 from Modern Horizons. Also, Force of Negation. All right, now you can be tapped out to play your Planeswalker and still interact with the opponent and their combo decks and anything else that they're going to do that is a non-creature spell. Archmage's Charm. Excellent card advantage. Steal the Aether Vial. Steal the 1-drops that you couldn't deal with in the first turn of the game. Make them your threats. Extra card advantage. I mean, it's basically cryptic. It's like mini Cryptic Command. Archmage's Charm, excellent addition. Also, you can say they could complain about Veil of Summer. Oh, Veil of Summer, it's busted, it should be banned. Well, they use it too! If they splash green, then they're playing with Veil of Summer as well. They get to utilize what they need. They can beat other counter spells, and also they can beat the Thoughtseize effects. Oko, Thief of Crowns was basically a stock card in the control decks until it got banned. Nice one. Not only that, they also unbanned Stoneforge Mystic. Now, not exactly a dedicated control card, but still utilizes a lot of cards that control decks do play. And if you need to not play such a slow game, you need to be a little bit more aggressive, you could take the Stoneforge package and go that direction. It's definitely a tool in the control deck's toolbox. Lately, they also they created Mystic Sanctuary, which is also in contention in the banning discussions. A card that once you can bounce with Cryptic Command, if you can draw it again with either Uro or Jace the Mind Sculptor or Teferi Hero of Dominaria, you basically have infinite Cryptic Commands. Keep tapping your opponent's creatures down. Yeah, that's right. Tap, bounce my Mystic Sanctuary. Next turn, play it, put Cryptic back on top of my deck, redraw it with some card draw engine, and then you're locked out of the game. You're just locked out of the game. And you can fetch this thing. It's an island. Why on earth did they do that? So any additional fetch land the person puts in play represents another Mystic Sanctuary. Oh, the control players, they just don't get anything these days. They got Uro of Titan of Nature's Wrath, which again was like, are they going to ban Arkham's Astrolabe or are they going to ban Uro? Because this is easily it's basically dominating the reason why anyone would play Control right now. Uro is basically in all the lists. And either you're playing Temur, you're playing Sultai, you're playing Bant, you're playing Simic, you're definitely going to be playing Uro. Tons of value in this card between gaining the life, getting the land in play to help compete with other decks competing on mana. You would never think that a control deck could also have such a good ramping strategy, but that is what happens when you're playing with Uro. And they back it up with Growth Spiral. So when you see Uro, you also see Growth Spiral, a card that you can play at instant speed, again, holding up your counter magic while you ramp yourself up and cycle away. Growth Spiral is an excellent addition to these control decks. And you know what? If the card is uncounterable because of Cavern of Souls, you have to deal with Primeval Titan, you got Aether Gust for you. Not only that, it also deals with permanence. So it's not just a counter spell, it also is a bounce spell, all tied into one, dealing with both red and green, which is one of the most dominant colors that you have to deal with in Modern. Now get this list is so big that I ran out of space. I thought, well, there's not going to be that many cards, but I ended up out of room, and then I had to start writing things in any of the blank areas I have left on the page. This is so nuts how many cards that have been given to the control decks lately. Ice Fang Quaddle definitely has been a staple when they could, definitely in the Arkham's Astrolabe days, but is still useful if you want to play with any snow lands, because the creature still replaces itself. It does have Death Touch when you have 3 other snow basics on the snow lands on the battlefield. Definitely was an amazing addition to the deck. They've played Dead of Winter. Dead of Winter is just another control card in their toolbox. Factor Fiction, amazing addition to the Uro decks. So you play Factor Fiction at the end of turn, gets around the Veil of Summer that some control players are going to complain about, because you can't Veil of Summer. Factor Fiction doesn't target anyone, so they choose an opponent. It's not the same as target opponent. they choose an opponent that's going to separate the cards into two piles. And so one pile goes into your hand for card advantage, and the other pile goes into the graveyard to fuel the Mystic Sanctuaries, the Uros, the Snapcaster Mages, everything. Massive card advantage from Fact or Fiction. Control players also got the Triome lands. The Triome lands. So now they get to cycle and they have better mana. Shark Typhoon. Shark Typhoon is an uncounterable threat that scales with the amount of mana that you have in play. So early on in the game, it can be a chump blocker while it draws a card, and later on in the game, when you have like 8, 9, 10 mana, you put this gigantic evasive creature, has flying. Why the hell does it do all these things? I don't know. So a card that scales with time, they got Shark Typhoon. Well, by the way, a lot of decks, especially Control, should be fearing Tron decks or big mana decks, but then they printed Field of Ruin, which actually completely changed the game in that situation. Field of Ruin gave them tons of game to put them either at parity or an advantage against the Tron decks. Not to mention that it can interact with basically anything else. Creature lands, Cavern of Souls, Horizon lands, interacts with basically everything. Field of Ruin was a massive upgrade to the Control deck. Field of the Dead is also now basically a win condition. We looked at how Control decks are now ramping and they have so many excess lands, and now basically the lands are a win condition even if you're flooding out. Mystical Dispute. 1 mana, basically, again, another card that helps fight a lot of wars that are in blue. And they also, some versions have run Drown in the Loch as well. A very versatile removal spell, killing permanents or countering spells. I mean, and that's not the end of it. There's other ones that I haven't mentioned because I feel like they're just not run so often, but like, they've received so many different cards. Control, it's just not the same that it used to be. I mean, I remember the days that they were playing with Jace, Architect of Thought. That was such mind-blowing card advantage. For 4 mana, you had like a mini Fact or Fiction, or you could slow the opponent's creatures down, give it -1, -0. And their actual win condition was Elspeth, Sun's Champion. Oh my god, at 6 mana, it puts 3 whole tokens in play. The deck's not even the same. It's not even, you know what, like the upgrades that Control has gotten over the years is ridiculous. I compare it to my own upgrades, to my own Merfolk deck. Before I used to play with Curse Catcher, a 1 mana creature that was Force Spike for only instants and sorceries, and now I've upgraded it to an off-color 1/1 creature that situationally can be a 2/2 creature. Unbelievable. And also, we've, in addition to my Island Walk Lords, double blue, 2/2 creature, gives all my other Merfolk +1/+1 and Island Walk. I can also play a 2-color Lord that gives all my other Merfolk +1/+1 and nothing else. You know what? I wish Wizards of the Coast treated the other archetypes the same way they treated Control. I understand, a long time ago, 4, 5, 6 years ago, Control had almost nothing to play with. And they were rightfully angry, and basically Control had almost no part of the metagame. But today they have everything. They have everything. They have so many cards. That's why people are calling for so many of them to be banned, and why so many have already been banned. Arkham's Astrolabe and Oko. And we're still taking cards off the ban list for them. Does Control deserve anything more? In my opinion, fuck no.